Clarkson Bridge is over 100 years old, but our story is even older. For long before James and Laura Legg settled along Crooked Creek at the turn of the 20th century, the Upper Creek Indians hunted along these creek banks. Game was plenty, but so were the wolves, bears, and panthers. So when the white man forced the Indians' removal in 1836, only part of the threat was gone, because the critters stayed. One of the earliest settlers, 36-year-old Burgess Myers, lived a little further downstream. The Georgian had ventured as far as Arkansas with his wife, Winnie, but had moved back to Alabama with his family. He had taught his young boys the dangers of the woods, but on a hot afternoon in August of 1854, that lesson was quickly forgotten. Myers and his wife were busy with farm chores. Under a blistering sun, Myers sent 6-year-old Abraham and his 2 younger brothers to play in the cool shade of the woods nearby. An hour or so later, Mrs. Myers called her children, and then, in horror, realized they had wandered into the forest. After a frantic search failed to find the boys, the Myers began a chain to summon neighbors for miles around by distress signals on horns and bells. 52 men and women came from miles away to help search for the children in those deep woods and along the steep creek banks. Toward evening, the searchers found a bed of wild cucumber leaves where the children had rested before plunging deeper into the most dangerous part of the woods. Spurred on by the cries of the grief-stricken mother, the party lit torches and continued the search throughout the night with a growing fear for the boys' safety. Then about 10 o'clock the next morning, the father spotted 2 of the boys under a tree. His joy was short-lived, though, when he discovered that the youngest child was missing. The older boys told him that their little brother had wandered out into the night during a thunderstorm. They heard him crying, but they were afraid to go after him because of the wild animals. Having no hope that the child was still alive, and exhausted by hunger and fatigue, the searchers were ready to give up. But the anguished pleas of the mother, who had been stumbling along with the searchers the whole time, brought a resolve to hunt until the child was found or there was proof that he was dead. They searched throughout the day in vain. That night they made camp in 3 groups on the highest bluffs and agreed to maintain strict silence in order to hear the child's cries. During the night, a strange light was observed traveling in a northeasterly direction. When the groups joined at dawn, several members asked, "Did you see that?" They had, but no one could offer an explanation. Some searchers considered the light an ominous sign, while others scoffed at the idea. Meanwhile, as they debated where to resume the search, William Lott, who had gone home the night before, was returning to camp when he heard a child crying. Riding in that direction, he found the lost child lying unharmed in a clump of sourwood sprouts. The site was 3/4 of a mile from camp and in the vicinity in which the strange light had been observed. The source of the light was never explained, but the overjoyed searchers were convinced, even the most cynical, that it had been a beacon for guidance sent straight from heaven.